Friends, thank you for joining us. It is time to continue our reading of First Kings. Good evening, Don and Linda. Good evening, Susan. Here's the big picture from First and Second Kings. Remember, as I have said often now, First and Second Kings in the original version in the Hebrew Scriptures were one book. We treat them separate. But in essence, in fact, it's one book. We resume our reading tonight at chapter 9, verse 24. So we're in the first 11 chapters. We're in the time of Solomon's reign. Zoom in on this big picture a little bit further to get here. We're in chapter 9. So we are zoomed in even further in this section that describes the downfall of Solomon. Time when Solomon's reign resembled Pharaoh more than David. That's significant, and that's a sharp criticism. Make no mistake about it. Good evening, Mom. So, chapter 9, verse 24. That's where we pick up tonight. Pull up our timer. Get that all set over here in its appointed corner. I will be reading it from the left-hand column from the Complete Jewish Bible, obviously a Jewish Bible. In the right-hand column, you see the text is found in the New Revised Standard Version Updated Edition. I will reference that mostly in order to remind us of what these persons, places, and things are as we know them in our Christian language. Sometimes Jewish Bible language refers to person, places, and things in ways that are not exactly familiar to us. Chapter 9, verse 30. Verse 34, obviously. Chapter 9, verse 24. That's right. Chapter 9, verse 24. And the most obvious one that comes up in this at this time, things that sound differently. Remember the name of King Solomon in Hebrew, in the Jewish Bible. Solomon is Shlomo. We've read thus far to this point that Solomon took for himself as a wife the daughter of Pharaoh. And that is the beginning of the downfall. Remember the big picture here. This section of the big picture refers us back to Deuteronomy 17. The law says very clearly that you shall not take foreign wives, because your foreign wives will distract you and lead you away from fidelity to God. Solomon's downfall is, well, proof of that. Let's read. Pharaoh's daughter came up from the city of David to her house, which Shlomo, Solomon, had built for her. After that, he built the Millo. 3 times a year, Shlomo offered burnt offerings and peace offerings on the altar which he had built for Adonai. A general reference to God without using the sacred name of God that we see as Lord with all caps. Offering incense with them on the altar before Adonai. So he finished the house. King Shlomo built a fleet of ships at Etzion Geber, by Eloth, on the shore of the Sea of Suf, the Red Sea, in the land of Edom. Hiram sent some of his own servants, experienced sailors who understood the sea, to serve with Shlomo's servants. They went to Ophir and took from there gold, 14 tons of it, which they brought back to King Shlomo. When the queen of Sheba, heard what was being said about Shlomo, because of the name of Adonai, she came to test him with difficult questions. She arrived in Jerusalem, accompanied by a very great retinue, including camels bearing spices and gold in great abundance and precious stones. When she appeared before Shlomo, she spoke with him about everything on her heart. And Shlomo answered all her questions. Nothing was hidden from the king that he could not explain to her. After the queen of Sheba had seen all Shlomo's wisdom, the palace he had built, the food at his table, the manner of seating his officials, the manner in which his staff served him, how they dressed, his personal servants, and his burnt offering which he offered in the house of Adonai, it left her breathless. She said to the king, "What I heard in my own country about your deeds and your wisdom is true. But I couldn't believe the report until I came and saw it for myself. Actually, they didn't tell me even the half of it. Your wisdom and prosperity surpasses the reports I heard. How happy your people must be. How happy these servants of yours who are always here attending you and get to hear your wisdom. Blessed be Adonai, your God, who took pleasure in you to put you on the throne of Israel. Because of Adonai's eternal love for Israel, he has made you king to administer judgment and justice fairly." Then she gave the king 4 tons of gold, a huge amount of spices and precious stones. Never again did there arrive such an abundance of spices as those the queen of Sheba gave to King Shlomo. Hiram's fleet, which had brought gold from Ophir, now brought in from Ophir a large quantity of sandalwood and precious stones. The king used the sandalwood to make columns for the house of Adonai and for the royal palace, and also lyres and lutes for the singers. No sandalwood like it has come or been seen to this day. King Shlomo gave the queen of Sheba everything she wanted, whatever she asked, in addition to the presents he gave her on his own initiative. After this, she returned and went back to her own country, she and her servants. The weight of the gold Shlomo received annually came to 22 tons of gold. Besides that, which came from sales taxes, customs duties, and assessments collected by all the kings of the mixed peoples and by the district governors. King Shlomo made 200 large shields of hammered gold. 15 pounds of gold went into each shield. He made 300 more shields of hammered gold, with 3¾ pounds going into one shield. The king put these in the house of the Lebanon forest. Lebanon. The king also made a large throne of ivory and overlaid it with the finest gold. The throne had 6 steps, a back with a rounded top, arms on either side of the seat, 2 lions standing beside the arms, and 12 more lions standing on each side of the 6 steps. Nothing like it had ever been made in any kingdom. All King Shlomo's drinking vessels were of gold, and all the utensils in the house of the Lebanon forest were of pure gold. None was of silver, for in Shlomo's time it was regarded as having little value. The king had a fleet of large Tarshish ships, along with Hiram's fleet. Once every 3 years, the Tarshish fleet came in, bringing gold, silver, ivory, apes, and peacocks. So King Shlomo surpassed all the kings on earth in both wealth and wisdom. All the earth sought to have an audience with Shlomo in order to hear his wisdom which God had put in his heart. Each one brought his present, articles of silver, articles of gold, clothing, armor, spices, horses, and mules, and this continued year after year. Shlomo amassed chariots and horsemen. He had 1,400 chariots and 12,000 horsemen. He assigned them to the chariot cities and to the king in Jerusalem. Odd. Nice little third person reference to oneself. The king made silver in Jerusalem as common as stones, and he made cedars as abundant as sycamore fig trees are in the Shephelah. Shlomo's horses had been brought from Egypt and from Kiva, Ku, with the king's agents, having bought them from the dealers in Kiva at the going price. A chariot from Egypt cost 15 pounds of silver shekels, and a horse 3¾ pounds of shekels. All the kings of the Hittim, the Hittites, and the kings of Aram purchased them at these prices through Shlomo's agents. That, friends, is where we are going to pause. And next time that we pick up 1 Kings, we'll begin chapter 11, which is the final chapter in the description of the downfall of King Solomon. Good evening, Anthony. Friends, thank you for joining us as we have read together this evening.